Dr. Rebecca Martinez thought her German Shepherd Luna was losing her mind. For 2 weeks straight, Luna had been staring at empty corners, whimpering at frequencies that made Rebecca's skin crawl, and refusing to sleep anywhere except directly in front of the front door. But it wasn't Luna's bizarre behavior that terrified Rebecca the most. It was the timing. Every single night at exactly 2:47 a.m., Luna would let out a bone-chilling howl that sounded less like a dog and more like a soul crying out from another dimension. Rebecca, a neuroscientist specializing in animal cognition, had run every test imaginable. Luna was perfectly healthy. So why was she acting like the world was about to end? The answer came when Rebecca discovered a forgotten box of her grandmother's belongings. Inside, yellowed newspaper clippings about Edgar Cayce, the legendary sleeping prophet who had died decades before Rebecca was born. Her hands trembled as she read Cayce's most disturbing prediction. The faithful beasts will become harbingers of the unseen. They will cry out in languages of anguish, warning of what approaches in the darkness. Only those pure enough to listen will understand their desperate message. Rebecca looked at Luna, who was now sitting perfectly still, staring directly at her with eyes that seemed to hold the weight of terrible knowledge. It was 2:47 a.m. Luna began to howl. Edgar Cayce's predictions about dogs weren't just mystical ramblings. They were terrifyingly specific. In his famous 1943 trance session, Cayce described a time when man's loyal companions would sense the trembling of the Earth's soul before any human instrument could detect the danger. He spoke of dogs exhibiting behaviors that would seem insane to their human families, describing them as living antennae tuned to frequencies of cosmic distress. According to Cayce, these animals would serve as humanity's early warning system for a planetary transformation so massive that only their ancient instincts could perceive it. But the most chilling part of his prophecy wasn't about the dogs themselves. It was about what they were trying to warn us about. A great shifting approaches, Cayce had written, and only those who heed the four-legged prophets will survive the rebalancing of all things. Rebecca's scientific background couldn't ignore what she was witnessing. She set up electromagnetic sensors, seismic detectors, and atmospheric pressure monitors throughout her house. For 3 days, nothing registered. Then on the fourth night, at exactly 2:45 a.m., 2 minutes before Luna's howl, every single instrument went haywire. Electromagnetic fields fluctuated wildly, microtremors shook the foundation, and atmospheric pressure dropped by precisely 0.4 millibars. Luna wasn't howling at ghosts. She was responding to measurable phenomena that existed beyond human perception. Rebecca's data revealed an undeniable pattern. Luna was detecting environmental changes that preceded her behavior by exactly 120 seconds. This wasn't coincidence. This was proof that Edgar Cayce's sleeping prophet abilities had tapped into the same heightened sensitivity that millions of dogs were now experiencing worldwide. When Rebecca published her preliminary findings online, her inbox exploded with messages from dog owners across the globe. A rancher in Montana described his border collie predicting avalanches 3 days in advance. A family in Singapore shared videos of their usually calm husky frantically digging holes in their yard at the exact moment earthquakes struck thousands of miles away. An elderly man in Norway wrote about his terrier's ability to sense northern lights before they appeared, howling in perfect harmony with the electromagnetic storms. But the most disturbing reports came from veterinarians. Dr. Kevin Walsh from Denver contacted Rebecca with shocking statistics. A 400% increase in unexplained anxiety disorders among dogs over the past 4 months. Dogs were abandoning their favorite foods, refusing to sleep, and exhibiting what could only be described as mass hysteria. The pattern was global, simultaneous, and completely unprecedented. Rebecca partnered with Dr. James Morrison, a geophysicist who had been quietly tracking unusual seismic activity. When they overlaid Rebecca's behavioral data onto Morrison's geological maps, they discovered something that challenged everything they thought they knew about the natural world. The dogs weren't just predicting isolated events. They were responding to a fundamental shift in Earth's electromagnetic field. Morrison's research revealed that the planet was experiencing magnetic pole fluctuations not seen in over 12,000 years. Deep within Earth's core, pressures were building toward what could only be described as a planetary recalibration. Dogs, with their natural sensitivity to electromagnetic frequencies, were the first to sense Earth's distress signals. The breakthrough came when Rebecca isolated the specific frequency triggering Luna's responses. Using advanced acoustic equipment, she discovered that dogs worldwide were responding to subsonic pulses occurring at precisely 7.8 Hz, the same frequency as Earth's natural heartbeat known as the Schumann resonance. But something was catastrophically wrong with the planet's rhythm. The frequency was fluctuating between dangerously low levels and abnormal spikes, creating a chaotic symphony that only dogs could hear. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a physicist specializing in electromagnetic phenomena, joined Rebecca's research team. Together, they uncovered evidence that Earth's electromagnetic field was destabilizing at an accelerating rate. The dogs were nature's early warning system, and they were screaming a message that humanity desperately needed to hear. As Rebecca delved deeper, she realized that dogs weren't functioning as individual sensors. They were operating as nodes in a vast consciousness network stretching across the entire planet. Brain scans of affected dogs showed synchronized neural activity across continents, as if they were all connected to the same massive intelligence. This wasn't behavioral mimicry. This was genuine telepathic communication operating at frequencies never before accessed by humans. Edgar Cayce had written about this phenomenon, describing animals speaking with one voice across valleys and oceans, their minds united in service of the greater warning. The dogs were literally sharing information in real time, creating a global intelligence network monitoring Earth's condition with unprecedented precision. 3 months into her investigation, Rebecca's world shattered when Luna collapsed during her nightly vigil. Veterinary examinations revealed neural pathways showing extreme overstimulation, as if Luna's brain was processing information far beyond normal canine capacity. She wasn't sick. She was overwhelmed by the sheer volume of sensory input she was receiving. This neural exhaustion was being reported in veterinary clinics worldwide. The animals were literally sacrificing their well-being to serve as humanity's guardians, dying in the process of maintaining their psychic connection to Earth's consciousness. Using advanced algorithms, Rebecca finally decoded the hidden pattern in global canine behavior. The howling, pacing, and anxiety weren't random distress signals. They formed a complex communication system conveying coordinates, dates, and a detailed survival map for humanity. The dogs were transmitting on multiple levels simultaneously, storing crucial information in harmonic resonances that would only become clear later. Edgar Cayce had described this as the patience of the faithful who speak not only for today but for all tomorrows that may come. The dogs weren't merely warning of catastrophic events. They were providing humanity with a roadmap for navigating an entirely new phase of planetary existence. Rebecca's team discovered that Earth possessed a form of consciousness existing at frequencies far below human perception. Dogs had never lost their connection to this planetary mind because they never developed the intellectual barriers that prevented humans from perceiving subtle energies. The frequency shifts, electromagnetic fluctuations, and seismic anomalies weren't random phenomena. They were Earth's attempts to communicate its distress and healing plans. Dogs served as translators between two forms of consciousness separated by millennia of human evolution. 6 months after that first sleepless night, Rebecca stood before world leaders delivering the most important message in human history. Behind her, screens displayed real-time data from thousands of dogs worldwide, their collective behavior patterns forming a living map of planetary consciousness. Edgar Cayce's prophecy had been fulfilled beyond imagination. Dogs hadn't merely warned humanity. They had become bridges between worlds, translators of a conversation determining the future of all life on Earth. Luna sat beside Rebecca, her role as herald complete, her sacrifice acknowledged by a world finally ready to listen. The planetary transformation Cayce foresaw wasn't an ending. It was an invitation to remember that humans were never alone on this planet, and their oldest friends had been teaching them that lesson all along.